Hi, you're listening to Bill Selak Talks. My name is Bill Selak. This is me talking. I saw a meme this last week that has been stuck in my head and has led to all kinds of other thoughts where we get onto the theme of this episode. It was some version of growing up in this particular era or this particular Xennial generation where I'm not quite millennial. I'm definitely not Generation X, but I don't know. I'm in that middle spot where I'm technically X, I think, but almost millennial. And I am in a generation where I teach both my parents and my kids how to use a printer. You with me on this one? Yeah, I figured you would be. So this has led me down a rabbit hole of things that I've noticed my kids have either taught me or really just, it ended up just kind of making a quick list of ways that my kids gently troll me. So this started off innocently enough where you have like a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old. You take a family photo, you take a photo of them, they want to see the photo, and then they end up taking like 100 photos of their feet, of the ground, of a blurry something, maybe a cute selfie, probably not, but of something, right? So we start off with like selfies as toddlers. And then what my kids do now, and this actually goes back to when my oldest was like 3, is whenever I try and take a photo of my wife, most of my kids will try and ruin that photo by photobombing or just at this point, like trying to almost like knock my phone out of my hand. They're like, no photos of you two, which is both adorable, but also like becoming kind of annoying that like our kids now won't let us take pictures together. To the point, and this is not like a general complaint, this is definitely like a cute trolling thing, where we buckled them up, they're in the car, and was going around to get in the car. I was like, wait a minute, this was on a family road trip over a winter break. Kids just got buckled in, they can't open the doors from the outside because that little toggle switch is engaged, so that the back doors only open from the outside. Kids are buckled, they're set, they've got their drinks and snacks and games or whatever. And I was like, wait a minute. Wife and I take a selfie and the kids are in the car and they're like, no. And this has been going on. So our oldest is 12 now, since she was about 3. So for the last 9 years, we've been struggling to take selfies. It also started off innocently enough on the Apple TV where the kids would inadvertently be logged into like my Netflix account, watch stuff. And then I think they happened upon this gentle version of trolling. They're like, I went to play something and they're like, you have all of our stuff. Haha. And so now my kids will do several things on several of my accounts. They'll change my profile picture, change my name, and then watch a bunch of stuff intentionally. And like when our kids are like, all right, we're watching TV, everybody gets one turn, a 20-minute turn that whatever, it's a 24-minute episode, you get a 24-minute turn. And they watch their turns. We're at the point now where one of them will actually just go to like my Netflix profile and spend their 20 minutes watching like 20 episodes, 1 minute of something. So like pick the most obnoxious TV shows you can think of. That they're like, oh, Dad hates Swan Princess. Let's watch 5 of them for 1 minute each so that when he goes into Netflix, it says continue watching and it's nothing but like Swan Princess. So this is going on. The latest has been on the car ride where again, we have a tight rotation with 3 kids. Siri gives us a random number and the kids play music. And I need to not say that. I need to spell S-I-R-I because all my devices just popped up. I didn't say hey in front of S-I-R-I. Sorry about that. If your Apple device just went bloop, yes. But now we'll say hey. Let's say Bob for now so that I don't ruin your devices. Hey, Bob, play this song. And what they're doing now, particularly like sometimes I'll throw myself into the mix. If it's a song that Kidz Bop has recorded, they will add the words by Kidz Bop very loudly, very quickly, immediately after I suggest a song. So like there's been like a couple Dua Lipa songs that are great songs, just like great recordings. And so I'll say like, hey, Bob, play Love Again. And then the kids will go, by Kidz Bop. And then it plays Love Again by Kidz Bop. And you're just like, oh, dude, with the trolling. So this brings me back to that meme where I'm in that generation where I teach both my parents and my kids how to use a printer, and yet my kids are tech savvy in a lighthearted trolling way, but also I think it speaks to the idea of digital fluency of this younger generation. For sure, the unexpected ways that they use technology. And I'm not going to jump into the idea of digital natives because I think that's problematic in a number of ways. And I think that's actually kind of one of the points of this is that, yes, my kids have figured out a way to annoy me and lightly troll me on my Netflix account. But they also need to be taught explicitly how to use Google Slides for academic purposes, how to do a Google search where you actually find reliable sources. When you look at those sources, how to actually evaluate all those, right? Like all of these media literacy skills, all these digital citizenship skills that aren't just magically absorbed. That's not a thing that happens with kids. And I think when you hear little anecdotes like this, you're like, oh, how cute. Oh, these kids, they're digital natives. Nope. They have grown up with technology and they use it in an interesting, subversive, playful way, but they still need these explicit lessons around using it in an academic way, or even like, depending on the platform, like right now I have GarageBand open, I'm talking into GarageBand recording, certain things they can kind of take and run with, and a lot of it is intuitive, but also there's some really explicit like skill building about if you're doing a podcast for a project, don't just hit record and talk, have some notes, have a run of show, have resources maybe, decide on kind of the format of it, decide if you're going to do like a theme song or not, write the theme song, here's tips on writing a theme song, write some like direct, explicit lessons and modeling around what that looks like. And then I do agree that because these kids starting in first iPad was 2011. So any kid that is younger than 13, the iPad has been around their entire lives. And anyone that's like really in high school, the iPad was invented when they were like 4. So essentially, all K-12 kids have had an iPad in their lives, and it is not a magical, shiny, new thing. Powerful, yes, but a tool in a similar way that like really nice markers or a variety pack of Sharpies are, maybe more so like that, or like really nice scissors that something, I don't know, like I don't do like the physical art media as much, but it's a tool in addition to a large variety of tools that they have. I don't know that it's as magical as we think it is, and so a lot of that is intuitive. I will give some people that, and a lot needs to be explicitly taught. And so obviously this gets to the point of tech literacy and how this is changing massively for our current K-12 students. We've got that, right? Digital citizenship. Let's cover that. Check. Start to rebrand it as digital leadership. Let's do that also. Check. Media literacy for creating and consuming. Check. Let's do that. By the way, if you have not received the latest news from Namely, they just released the Media Literacy Report. It's called Snapshot 2024, the State of Media Literacy Education in the United States. Amazing. If you're looking for like the latest and greatest around media literacy education, whether that is a new topic to you, you're like, what's media literacy? NAMLE.net. Let me double check that URL. Yep, namely.net will get you to that report. If you're new to it, if you've been around for a while, you're like, oh my gosh, they just released the report. Awesome. It's great. It sounds, I don't know, the way I'm describing it sounds really boring. It's amazing. So much good info around media literacy. So yes, that super important, check. But the other thing, and I'm leaving you with this last thought, is as you think of ways that students show their understanding, and we think about this in terms of formative and summative assessment, but also just skill building, I encourage you to really push and trust what's possible with students, because they have not the digital nativeness, but like the ability to engage with these new tools and see them as just part of life and not like a new iPad app or a new website that we can use. Like Gimkit comes to mind, where some teachers are like, what's Gimkit? And others are like, oh, this is a really cool way for students to play a game and review material in a not even like formative assessment way, but in a just like, let's practice some skills and get a bunch of reps way, right? Like Gimkit's great for that. And that's one of those where if you know nothing about that, Gimkit, start using it, just try it and be like, I heard about this new thing on a podcast. We're going to give it a shot. We're going to do a little bit of review. And the review can be, here's something you learned just now. It could be, here's something you reviewed last week. It could be almost more kind of summative, like unit or semester review. But it can be very, very simple. And I think what's interesting is that our students now, kind of based on my kids in particular and their lighthearted trollingness of me, are just willing to like play with things and find out like how they can get fun out of it, what they can make out of it, how they can troll their parents with it. I think just being able to try the new thing is something that can be scary for teachers because it's new, and there's such a perspective, I think, amongst most people I know at least, that like teachers have good lessons, they have stuff together, and that the ability to say like, I have no idea how this lesson's going to work, but let's try it. I think students are more on board with that because these devices are not new shiny things. This is just part of how they do it, and they're stumbling upon new things all the time. Now our role becomes, with that educator hat, to have that expertise and to show them how to use it in an educational way, or to find these kind of random apps and figure out how you can leverage them in an educational way. I think that's the really exciting thing. So, challenge extended. Be willing to take risks there, try the new thing, and also just like pay attention to your students and see like ways they're using technology in like playful, subversive, lighthearted trolling ways, and just, kind of enjoy that. Maybe when they join your Gimkit world, you don't have to like police their names as much, and then they'll write like ridiculous names, which at some point, if it is your birthday and you're teaching them, they might all get together and spell out like, happy birthday, Mr. Selak, and 4 of them will join in that order so that it gives you a message, right? Like there's all kinds of fun things that students will do and will amaze you if you give them the space in the school day to amaze you. So those are my thoughts based on the photobombing. And by the way, if you don't know Muppets Now, that was something around 2020-21 that the Muppets did. I think it's on Disney Plus. Kermit the Frog has a whole interview he did, not about photography, but about photobomy and the idea of photobombing people as an art form. I don't think as a profession, but as an art form. His artistic talent was photobomy. My kids have taken that to heart. If you have students or kids, they've done versions of that as well. And just, relish those moments, give them space in the school day to make more of those moments. And I think you'll have a good time, whether it's photobomy or Netflix accounts getting changed or adding by Kidz Bop at the end of a request from Hey SIRI. So thanks for listening. My name is Bill Selak. This has been me.